So our first hymn is number 6 in our hymnal, and it has a lot of personal meaning to me because John Giles did the harmony, and John was my music director in Evanston, and he died of AIDS in 1996, but he really means the words of this song. Let's sing together. Stand as you're able to do so, just as long as I have breath.
Lisa Grieco has agreed to light the chalice this morning as we remain standing and join in the recitation of our covenant. The words appear on the screen. Enriched by our differences and joined together in our search for meaning, we covenant with ourselves and each other to seek truth in a spirit of love, to strive for justice, and to serve others with a joyful heart.
Please be seated. And as those of you who have been coming in February know, we're trying an experiment where we invite you to turn and greet your neighbor. Take a couple minutes to say, good to see you today, and may peace be with you. So please do that. I've got a cold, so I won't take your hand. Thank you for treating me now.
Good morning, Tom. How you doing, Rob?
A lot more people than I expected.
Hello, people at home.
Yeah, it's a 2-day weekend. They're out there honoring our president.
Yes.
Good morning. How you doing?
I decided too much history.
Keep it healthy.
Give me trouble.
That's it.
Decided
Well, I
not.
like love. I like this. Good morning, everyone, and good morning to everyone on Zoom. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Delaware County. My name is Ruth Hendry, and I'm serving as your worship associate today. If you are attending our service for the first time, we extend a special welcome. If you're viewing this service on Zoom, please remember you can activate closed captioning if that's helpful to you. And if you'd like to talk with others after the service, there will be a virtual coffee hour. Just stay logged in and you'll be invited into a breakout room. If you are attending worship in person, please join us in Fellowship Hall across the lobby from the sanctuary for coffee hour after the service. Please remain seated and join in singing our centering song.
Melissa Neza. I'm saying that right? Oh, good. Melissa is going to say a few words. We are having our pledge drive. It's almost over. Next week will be the last week. If we don't get your pledge by then, we will start calling you over and over and over again. So get your pledge in so you won't get those calls. Melissa?
Good morning, everyone. And in all honesty, I just got my pledge in last night. So it's never too late. And here I am doing this testimonial. I want to thank Susan Rubenstein, and I've never been asked to do this. So I'm honored to be here. For any of you who don't know me, my name is Melissa Neza, and I've been a member of this church since 2015. If you can't hear me, let me know. So we just had the centering song, but in the fashion of that I'm a therapist, I'm a clinical therapist, we're going to start a little non-traditionally with this testimonial, and I'm actually going to lead you through a guided meditation, very brief. And that's not right for you, just pay attention to your breathing and relax. So settle in, feel your feet on the floor where the chair supports you, and you can close your eyes or soften your gaze. And notice your breath as you feel yourself breathing in, that first inhale, and notice your breath as you exhale out. Now in your mind's eye, imagine yourself on a path that is leading you home, perhaps to the home where you live now, your actual home, or perhaps it's a path to a tent or a cabin after a long day's hike. You decide, whatever feels right. And there in the distance, you can see home up ahead. And as you do, your heart soars. And you're feeling relief flood your body as you get closer. You start to pick up the pace and walk faster until finally you have arrived. You are standing in front of the door, about to open it. You are home. Now gently bring yourself back by feeling your feet on the floor and open your eyes and take a breath in and out. And just notice how you feel. That is how I feel when I am in this community, that I am home feeling. I feel it down to my bones. Here with all of you, with the people I know and the people I don't know yet. Here with Reverend Fritz and Chrissy and Bob and the other church staff. I feel seen and held in love. You are my beloved community. We all need this feeling of being welcomed just as we are. Us humans are social creatures and we need each other. And I would argue that we need each other more than ever to stand on the side of love at this point in the pandemic. So I came into this world, as I now understand, as a sensitive human being and as a spiritual being. And I've always been looking for a space to explore the sense of spirituality. And I didn't have that growing up, except for when I was in nature. So I never will forget the first time I came to this church. It was the summer between my first and second year of grad school. It was a summer service. So not only was I impressed by this beautiful space and the beautiful, trees and surroundings back there, but I felt welcomed. That was what I really remembered, with smiles and genuineness and warmth. The minute I stepped through the door, I felt like I wanted to come back and that people wanted me to return. So I've been reflecting on the ways that this church community has been there for me and my family, and how I have grown since being here. And this list is vast, but I'll just name a couple examples before I close. So this church community has been here for our family in truly incredible ways. In 2014, Reverend Peter married my husband Dennis and I. It's a really very special and sacred memory. And I remember at that time, I had people from this church singing in the service, playing the piano, and arranging the flowers. It was just really wonderful. So fast forward to when my husband and I were trying to get pregnant. We had just received a diagnosis of infertility, and we were struggling. So many people that we opened to provided their support and their own stories of their own struggles. And then when we finally got pregnant, and then we had our son Finnegan, and we brought him to church for that first time, the joy and celebration that all of you shared with us. It was amazing. Singing in the choir. I found my voice as an alto, but beyond that, through the direction of Bob, and through the other members of the choir I sang with. And some of them are not here with us anymore. So that was really amazing to me. I've joined with other church members to bear witness to injustice out in the community. I've raised my voice for many things, but to protect the Affordable Care Act. And the joy I get on Sunday mornings when I offer our preschool children RE, it's not just the RE curriculum, but it's a way for the children to know that they are held in love and that they are special, that their love and who they are is a powerful gift. So with all this being said, each year I hold in my heart and my mind how much this beloved community means to me and my family. The gift of being home and how I feel it inside here. So this is what we kept in mind when we pledged this year. And I hope that whatever this community means to you, that you will take that time to reflect and pledge for what is right for you. So thank you for listening.
I'll give you a second to read the slide. You can pledge online or put a paper pledge in the box. And now it is time in our service. Do we do Spirit of Life now?
Got a hint.
We do Stones of Joys and Sorrows before we're going to do Spirit of Life. So each week we come here carrying our joys and our sorrows with us. At this time, I invite you to drop a stone into our bowl of water, symbolizing those joys and sorrows that you bring with you each day.
might start sending all the chats to them and not to the whole group.
I will drop one more stone to represent the joys and sorrows of those who are joining us on Zoom, as well as those who are not able to be with us this morning.
Spirit of community in which we share and find strength and common purpose, we turn our minds and hearts towards one another, seeking to bring into our circle of concern all who need our love and support, those who are ill, those who are in pain, either in body or in spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. We are grateful for the miracle of consciousness that we share, the consciousness that gives us the power to remember, to love, and to care. Amen.
Our congregation is entirely self-governed and financially supported by the voluntary generosity of our members and friends. To this end, we have an offering to sustain the work of our beloved community. Once upon a time, most folks used the offering plate to fulfill their pledges of financial support. Nowadays, you can text your donation to the number provided on the screen. Also, there are boxes in the back of the sanctuary where folks can leave their checks and cash. And we thank you for your generosity.
Good morning. I have the Wonderbox with me today, and the Wonderbox always gets applause. So if you're new to UUCDC and you don't know, this is the Wonderbox. I'm going to shake it, and we're going to try to guess what's inside. And for our Zoom friends, I do have my phone here, so I can look in the chat, and you're welcome to guess in the chat as well. So here we go. What do you think? A shoe, a water bottle. Go ahead. Also a shoe, okay. 2 votes for shoe. Jesse? A cardboard. Oh, Jesse's pretty close. Actually, let me see. I don't see any guesses in the chat yet. Yes, Sam? A notebook. Also a good guess, yes. A tiny, like a smaller box inside the box, not a bad guess, yep. A rock. It's never a rock, but yes, that's a good guess. Everyone says rock. That's my favorite guess, actually. One time it was a rock. Someone on Zoom suggested leftover Valentine's candy, a good guess. Max, did you have your hand up? What do you think? You think it's what? Like materials, okay, that's a good guess. Wilhelmina. Valentine's? Is that what you said? Hold on one second. Luca, what do you think? A train. I did tell Luca that his class was going to talk about trains today, but this is not a train. That was a good guess. I'm going to jump back to Wilhelmina because she got it right. It's a Valentine. All right, so we just celebrated Valentine's Day, and I want to tell you a story about love. Actually, I'm going to tell you 2 stories about love, and these are true stories. So, about 18 years ago, in California, a bunch of UU congregations all got together and they sent Valentines to the governor, who at that time was a guy named Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, that's a funny name, isn't it? Do you think that they sent Valentines to Governor Schwarzenegger because they loved him so much? Not really. They sent Valentines to Governor Schwarzenegger because they wanted to teach him a lesson about love. You see, at that time in California, there was a law that said that marriage could only be between a man and a woman. There was no same-sex marriage. Now, we know that sometimes men love men and sometimes women love women. Sometimes non-binary people love other non-binary people, or any combination. But back then, in California, as well as most states in our country, marriage was only for a man and a woman. But we are Unitarian Universalists, and we value love, and we value all people. And when a law says that somebody's love is not right or less important than someone else's love, we think that that's unjust. So, the UUs in California wrote a lot of Valentines. They wrote 3,800 Valentines, and they delivered them to Arnold Schwarzenegger, to Governor Schwarzenegger. And a few weeks later, he had the opportunity to make a change to the law to allow for same-sex marriage, and he didn't do it. So that might make you think the Valentines didn't work, but I don't want you to think that, because then a little while later, he had another chance, and that time, he did agree with many, many people that same-sex marriage should be legal in California. Maybe the Valentines helped him come to that decision. Sometimes it takes a while for people to change their minds. Now, I want to fast forward to just last week in Oklahoma. Right now, in Oklahoma, the governor and some of the legislators are making laws that are making it impossible for trans kids and youth to get the medication that they need to have gender-affirming medical care. And so UUs in Oklahoma, who know this story about Governor Schwarzenegger, they decided they would write some Valentines to their legislators. They wrote lots and lots of Valentines, and they delivered them because we are UUs, and we value love, and we value people. And we know that trans kids and their parents and their doctors should be the ones making decisions about their health care, not the government. So they delivered these Valentines last week. And I don't know if any minds have been changed yet. But what I do know is that we are Unitarians, and we value love, and we value people. And one of the ways that we use our love is to do things like send Valentines to fight for justice. Thank you for listening to my story today. All right, it is time for our children and youth to go to their RE classes. Bob is going to play our sending song. Our K1 class uses the Wonderbox, so I have to get it back ready for them. Bob will play our song through 3 times. The first time we'll sing it together. The second time our children and youth will go to their classes. Or no, second time teachers and third time children and youth.
I'd like to preface my reading by sharing with you that I have cried every single time I have read it, sometimes really ugly crying. I am really hoping that I will get through this. However, my lovely daughter has tissues, and so do I. Robert Fulghum, the author of All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, served as a Unitarian Universalist minister for 22 years. Many anonymous stories about love can be found in his book, True Love. And this is what he wrote. An anonymous man wrote, "When I was a junior in college, I took a course in the writing of D.W. Lawrence. I know this sounds really stupid, but I thought this was about Lawrence of Arabia. You know, the eccentric British desert warrior guy. I had seen the movie, and I wanted to be him. I was not fully alert in college. I went down to the local used bookstore to get everything they had. I was a little surprised by the titles. The Rainbow, Women in Love, Sons and Lovers, and Lady Chatterley's Lover. This was a side of Lawrence of Arabia I didn't know about." The clerk explained. "Whoa, bad news. But I had registered for the course, and now I had the books, and I needed the credits, so I was stuck. I went home to read. Like a lot of college students, I bought used books, hoping someone else would have already underlined the important stuff. The Lawrence books I bought were thoroughly underlined, and when I flipped through and read some of the paragraphs about making out, I guess most of you are old enough to know what that means, I was blown away. This was really hot stuff. To hell with the other Lawrence in the desert. This Lawrence was my kind of guy. And I figured that any girls who were taking this course would be my kind of girls. All the books I had bought had the same female name in the front. I figured this girl must have taken the course and then sold the books. She really knew what to underline, not only just the juicy parts, but the really beautiful passages that were about love, not just sex. I looked up her name in the telephone book, remember those? And her name was there. I figured I'd just call her up and see what happened. I was hoping for anything from a date to the copies of the papers she had written. College guys play all the angles. I called her up, introduced myself, and told her what I wanted. Whoa, again. She was not a girl, but a retired college professor of English literature. These books were extras she had sold when she moved to a smaller apartment. She laughed and said she would be glad to have a date with me, and she would explain about Lawrence and tell me how to pass the course. We liked each other right away. She lived alone, and her eyes were failing. She said if I would drive her to the grocery store once a week, she would tutor me about Lawrence. During that semester, she woke me up about love and sexuality and women. I spent a lot of time with her. I'm a better man because of her. A long time later, I told her if she had been 20 instead of 70, I would have asked her to marry me. She said she would have accepted. She's dead now. I still have her books and her wisdom and her kind love. I got an A in the course, too.
Thank you. I have a head cold, so I will not give anybody any hugs after the service. I'll just hide in my office till the next service, but I think I'm far enough away from all of you that I will not give you the cold also. This morning, a few days after Valentine's Day, I'm going to explore the topic of love, especially the love between two people. But first, I should preface this by acknowledging that nearly 50% of all adults in the United States are single, about 127 million unmarried people. Indeed, I was happily single until I was 30. Many people have loving friendships without getting married or without living with someone. Being part of a couple is not necessary for happiness. We can find joy in the good friends we meet here at church and in enjoying the arts such as music and painting and being part of the natural world, connecting with dogs and cats, with plants that we grow in our gardens, and walks that we take in the woods. I can believe strongly in marriage and family and still respect the dignity of single people, for I do not believe being married is the only way to happiness. Now still, without suggesting that everyone should live with a mate, this morning I want to explore how some of us make a connection with another person so that we decide to live together and even get married. What attracts people to each other? Evolutionary biologists say that what we call love is the process of selecting partners who will enhance the survival of our species. Men are drawn to young women who appear to have healthy bodies. Our biology, men's biology, programs us to look for clear skin, bright eyes, shiny hair, good bone structure, red lips, rosy cheeks. These are signs that a woman is likely to produce healthy children. Women select mates for different biological reasons. Because youth is not essential to the male reproductive role, women instinctively favor mates with physical strength and the ability to provide. Therefore, wealthy, physically strong males are attracted to women. One researcher argues that we are drawn to people who share our values because we are more likely to stay together to raise children. So Christians tend to fall in love with other Christians. Democrats tend to fall in love with other Democrats. Unitarians tend to fall in love with other Unitarian Universalists, and so on. Another researcher, Meredith E. Small, in her article, Love with the Proper Stranger, presents data suggesting that we reject mates who are like us in genes that drive our immune system. We all have a genetic immune system called HLA. When parents share all the genes of the HLA system, miscarriages increase significantly. It appears that humans, at least females, are more likely to fall in love with a person whose HLA genes are different from the mother who raised them. The sense of smell plays a role in determining with whom we fall in love. Researchers at the University of Bern in Switzerland presented women with t-shirts penetrated with the body sweat of men with various HLA types. Women who were not taking birth control pills, apparently birth control pills inhibit the sense of smell in women. Women who were not taking birth control pills preferred the t-shirts of men with HLA types unlike their own. For females, How someone smells is an important factor in choosing a partner. And this suggests why romance that is born on the internet might not go well when the couple meets in person. Still another theory that attempts to explain why people fall in love is in the book Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix. He says, what we are doing is looking for someone who has the predominant character traits of the people who raised us. The primary reason we fall in love, he says, with our partner is because our partner reminds us of the person who raised us. Might be your father or your mother or your older brother or sister. Unconsciously, we believe that we have found the ideal candidate to work out and resolve the unresolved issues left hanging from our childhood. So apparently it's not a coincidence that I married someone who was born exactly the same time as my older sister was born. I'm still working out the issues with my older sister. Whatever the reason, if we are lucky, at some point we experience an exhilarating, a passionate, exciting feeling of love, the madness of first love. Now, Dr. Helen Fisher, an anthropologist, studies the biology of love and attraction. She says that people of all ages, from 12 to 85, report feeling this passionate love. Both men and women describe similar feelings. Both gay and straight people have this experience. Religious affiliation makes no difference. Buddhists, Roman Catholics, Jews, and Unitarian Universalists, they all report having this experience of mad, passionate love in their lives. Ethnic background makes no difference. People report the feeling of passionate love in all human cultures around the world. As many of us have experienced, this romantic passion does not last forever. Indeed, if intense, romantic, mad love flourished endlessly in a relationship, we might die of exhaustion. Evolution has designed us so that after a year or two of mad ecstasy, the acute longing, the heightened energy, that all gradually fades. Now, for some who strongly prefer the intense feelings of this new love, this is the time to break up with that partner and move on and fall madly in love with a new partner. This is called love addiction. But for others, a new kind of love, a long-term attraction develops and replaces the intense romance. Feelings of commitment and bonding replace the feelings of obsessive passion. Couples gradually settle in for the long haul and discover this second type of love. They establish a home as a center of rest and renewal. They may bring forth children who share the relationship and the love. And couples may sit at the kitchen table, eating and drinking together, enjoying this long-term love, and deciding who will do the dishes. Well, how do loving couples resolve differences about who does the dishes and stay in love? And there are, of course, many books on this topic. One published in 2006 I enjoyed reading was entitled Kicked, Bitten, and Scratched: Life and Lessons at the World's Premier School for Exotic Animal Trainers. Amy Sutherland studied the positive reinforcement used by exotic animal trainers, and she applied what she learned to train her husband, Scott. this book became a massive bestseller. Amy wrote, "I begin by thanking Scott if he threw one dirty shirt into the hamper. If he threw in two, I'd kiss him. Meanwhile, I would step over any soiled clothes on the floor without one sharp word, though I did sometimes kick them under the bed. But as he basked in my appreciation, the piles on the floor became smaller. I was using what animal trainers call approximations, rewarding small steps towards learning a whole new behavior. You can't expect a baboon to learn to do a somersault on command in one session. Just as you can't expect an American husband to begin regularly picking up his dirty socks by praising him once for picking up a single sock. With the baboon, you first reward a hop, then a bigger hop, then an even bigger hop. With Scott the husband, I began to praise even small acts every time. If he drove just a mile an hour slower, if he tossed one pair of shorts into the hamper, or if he was on time for anything. Now, I hope Amy Sutherland first said to her husband, "Honey, pick up your socks." I assumed that only after straightforward, direct communication did not work, that she started to then use behavioral modification. As those of you with pets know, training animals to do things takes an enormous amount of time. However, if your spouse does not respond to straightforward conversation and you have a great deal of patience and you really want your partner to change, behavioral modification may be effective. Sutherland goes on to say, "As I wash dishes at the kitchen sink, my husband paces behind me, irritated. 'Have you seen my keys?' he snarls, then huffs out a loud sigh and stomps from the room. I focus on the wet dishes in my hands. I don't turn around. I don't say a word. I'm using a technique of ignoring negative behavior that I learned from a dolphin trainer. He was again tearing around the house, searching for his keys, at which point I said nothing and kept at what I was doing. It took a lot of discipline to maintain my calm, but the results were immediate and stunning. His temper fell far shy of its usual pitch and then waned like a fast-moving storm. I felt as if I should throw him a mackerel. Well, I always thought that talking to people directly is an effective way of communicating, but apparently this does not work with Scott, and apparently Amy is very patient. Of course, the biggest difference between training animals and training our partners is that we cannot put our partner in a cage. If we hold back our affection, our attention, our hugs, our smiles to get our partners to do what we want, our partners may eventually go to someone else to get what they want. If we only positively reinforce the things that we want our partner to do, they may eventually move on. So given the limits of behavioral modification, I looked for more research on love, and I found the books of John Gottman. Starting in 1980, Dr. Gottman has conducted extensive research on why relationships succeed or fail. He He has studied both heterosexual and homosexual couples. A couple who agrees to be part of his study sits in a room in chairs designed to measure how much each person wiggles when they talk to each other. 2 video cameras film every visible movement from the waist up. Their heart rate is tracked. Sensors are clipped to each person's ear to tell how fast blood is flowing from their hearts to their extremities. Microphones capture every sound each person utters. For 15 minutes, a couple discusses an area of disagreement. After the couples were videotaped, they were tracked over years to see if they stayed together. Now, combining data collected from hundreds of couples over many years, Dr. Gottman reached certain conclusions about what makes for a successful relationship. This is the key result, just in one sentence. He said, a couple must have at least 5 times as many positive as negative moments together if their relationship is to be stable. Now, put that another way. If you spend 6 hours a day with your partner, you should spend no more than 1 of those hours disagreeing. If there is 5 times as much positive feeling and interaction between 2 people as there is negative, people feel love for each other, and they are likely to stay together. Gottman also found that when there is no conflict in the relationship at all, the relationship is likely to become unstable and lead to a separation. For a relationship to have real staying power, couples need to air their differences. Conflict and love, he says, is like an ecosystem. When conflict and loving are in balance, the relationship thrives. When they get too far out of balance, the relationship dies. Dr. Gottman discovered from his videotapes that couples in happy relationships use phrases and actions during an argument that prevent negativity from spiraling out of control. Conciliatory words, gestures, these act as a glue that helps to hold the marriage together during tense times. They include simply nodding, or saying, I see, or acknowledging by saying, I see you're really upset, or saying, I hear what you're saying. Choosing to have a positive mindset about your partner and reintroducing praise and admiration into your relationship keeps the conflict under control. When couples do not use these gestures or words to soften the argument, one or both of the people in the relationship eventually feel overwhelmed by the negativity. Dr. Gottman calls this feeling being flooded. His research shows that on average, men become flooded, become overwhelmed more often than women. If a person's heart rate reaches 100 beats per minute, adrenaline is secreted in large doses into the body. And thinking clearly, when our blood is pumping furiously and our heart is racing, thinking clearly at those moments is really hard, nearly impossible. No rational conversation can take place. So Dr. Gottman suggests that couples agree that in an argument, either should have the right to ask the other for a break so they can calm down. It takes an average person about 20 minutes to calm down after a flood of adrenaline. Looking at the content of the arguments recorded on tape, Dr. Gottman found that men can help resolve many arguments by accepting that housework and childcare are not a woman's exclusive domain. He discovered in his research that men who do more housework and childcare also report having better sex lives. Furthermore, he found a direct correlation between how much housework a man does and the likelihood that that man will be physically healthy. Dr. Gottman concludes by saying his research showed that the happiest, most stable couples are those who accept that all relationships and all partners have limitations. We all have limitations. Couples who accept each other's limitations tend to stay together and are happy. In this area of learning to love, misunderstanding is frequent. Miscommunication can often be a problem. The story is told of a young man who said to his beautiful bride, "Honey, I have a confession to make. I'm a golf nut. You will never see me on weekends." "Well, dear," she said, "I have a confession to make also. I'm a hooker." "No big deal," he replied. "Just keep your head down and your left arm straight." Communication is difficult in this area. In a mating ritual, there is a dance, a flirtation, a raising and lowering of the barriers. But there's also a duty, a responsibility, an obligation for partners to treat each other with respect. Then, in this mixture of arousal and commitment, in the combination of stimulation and trust, we may fall in love. Let's sing our closing hymn. As Ruth extinguishes our chalice, let's say together our closing words. For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come embracing life, may life return your affection. And for those who come to seek a path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step. Blessed be.